the best advice I can give, if you don't like what we're talking about, you don't have to stay. Like, just hit the X or go somewhere else. You get it. You get it. An important note to make: I'm not a professional speaker. I am not a therapist, and I am not a doctor. So if you hear any advice like that, we're both not. So if you hear any advice like that, like, obviously, you know, this isn't going to be a health podcast, so I don't think you'll have to worry about anything like that. But I just have to say it. I'm not a doctor, professional speaker, professional podcaster, none of that. This is very laid back, very chill. So yeah, if you have any problems, I don't really care. Okay, speeches shouldn't take too long. I plan on keeping this way under 2 hours, friends. So if you are wondering how long this is going to take, usually the first part of the segment is just me and Witchy. Like, it's just going to be me and her. And I'm going to try my best, like, if I see a good question, like, to put it in, but I just want to pay attention to her and her story. And then there's going to be time, like, at the end for us to talk with you guys, if that's okay. I will not be reading notifications or anything like that. They'll be muted, and it's just for the YouTube video. Animals, they take over my stream. They run this. I don't even stream. My animals do, really. So if Zayla comes in here and she starts barking, I already apologize. If a cat comes in here and wrecks my life, I apologize. Yeah, that's basically it. Things are gonna be rocky. I'm really nervous, always, so I apologize. And yeah, you might not relate to things that are being said, but that's okay. Like, this is all for fun. This is for us to hang out and to have fun, okay? Thank you all for being here. All right, are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So to start things out, just go ahead, drop your links. Let us know where we can find you. And if you look under her camera, it has her @ and that is her Twitch @ because I know her Twitter is different. Okay?
Right.
So I'll let her explain that.
My Twitter is WitchyTwitchy TV because WitchyTwitchy was taken.
Okay.
My Instagram is WitchyTwitchy, and yeah, those are the main ones that I'm on: Twitter and Instagram, and then of course Twitch.
Yes. Now, what do you do on your channel? Explain. What do you do?
So I do a mix of variety games and ASMR. I've kind of hopped all over the place on my 5 years on Twitch, or during my 5 years on Twitch. But right now we're doing half variety games, half ASMR. Usually I do variety games in the beginning, like starting around 9, and then I'll switch to ASMR around midnight, and then do the last half of my stream that.
Oh my gosh, that's a long stream. 4 hours. I'm done. That's it for me. 4 hours.
It's been shorter lately because I've had a week, so I've been like dealing with a health issue and then other stuff. So my streams this past week have been a little bit shorter, but normally, ideally, that's what my schedule is.
Oh my goodness, awesome! And her ASMR is fantastic. If you have anxiety like me, it is very calming, and it actually helps me sleep so much. And I know Nox the Splicer, Nox, you could also speak to that as well. It has helped my anxiety so much, and honestly, personally, like, I just like hanging out in your channel. It's really awesome.
Thank you.
You know, just dropping that lurk and everything like that. So if you don't follow her, please be sure to drop her a follow. Go hang out with her. She's wonderful. Yay, and I'm so excited. Thank you for being here. Okay, so question number 1, and this is... After sending you the question, I was like, this is duh. Obviously, your love for animals started when you were super young. So I'm going to kind of rephrase the question in this way. When did you decide, like, that's it, I want to work for a wild animal or an animal rehab facility? Like, when did that click for you? Like, this is something that I need to do. I'm very curious.
I don't know if I ever had like an epiphany, like I want to do wildlife rehab, but I've always wanted to rescue animals, and this is kind of like in that vein. Like, even whenever I was little bitty, like, I want to say I must have been around 8 or 9.
Okay.
And I mean, of course, we were always taking in strays and stuff like that when I lived with my grandmother and stuff. But I remember whenever I was 8 or 9, my dad found a little family of mice in my room. It was like a mama and her babies, and my dad was like, I'll be right back, I gotta go get something to kill them. And I'm like, oh my god, no. So mama ran off, and I grabbed the little mice, and I looked around my room, and I found like a little box, and I shoved them in the box really fast. And when my dad came back, he was like, where'd the mice go? And I was like,
no idea.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they didn't make it because I was 8 and I had no
Yeah.
idea to take care of little mice.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've always been like this since I was little. I've
I
always
love it.
been super, super attached to animals. I
Mhm.
love them so much. Like, I mean, I was raised vegetarian and I've been like super into animal rights my
Yeah.
whole life. So yeah,
That's
kind of
amazing.
a huge part of who I am.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And you know, that is so funny because same thing, but a little bit different. My cat brought home a baby mouse. And I was like, "Mom, please, like I just want to take care of it. I don't want it to die." I was super young. And like I had to you're going to laugh, but I had a Barbie and it had a little bottle, I guess. Like I don't even know how or where, but we cut the tip off the little bottle and we put milk and stuff in it, and I like
Aww.
yeah, and I took care of the mouse. Of course it didn't make it because it needs its mama.
Yeah,
it needs
for sure.
its mama's milk and stuff like that, but I tried my best. But
Yeah.
that's funny that we kind of have a similar like mouse story.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's amazing. So okay, how long? It's been more than a year. How long have you been working at the rehab, the opossum facility?
Just like maybe a year and a
Okay.
month, or no, maybe exactly a year, because I started at the end of winter last year, so
Okay.
probably around like end of February.
Okay, that's awesome. Now tell us a little bit about your experience there.
So when I first joined, I just wanted to commit like 1 day a week,
Yeah.
coming in and doing just basic
Yeah.
cleaning shift duties.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
in the wintertime, it's very easy because we just have a handful of permanent residents. And then, like, you know, maybe we'll get like a new admission every week from like a wild adult possum who's gotten hit by a car or attacked by a dog. And then we heal them up and then we let them go. So we don't really have a very large head count. So it's very simple. Last year, honestly, I just came in for night shifts, made food for all of the possums, and I want to say we had like less than 10
Okay.
last winter. Came in, did food and diets and cleaned cages, which is pretty simple.
Yeah.
Just clean out the newspaper, fill water bowls, stuff like that. So yeah, it was very simple at first. And then last spring, I did not want to do babies because babies are a lot and it's super stressful, and I'm not confident at all. Like, you got some of these volunteers that will come in and they're super ambitious and confident, and they're like, "I've never worked with animals before, but let me foster these tiny little babies."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
that's like, I'm the complete opposite. I didn't want
Yeah.
anything to do with them because they're so small and it's so
Yeah.
much responsibility, and I can't handle being responsible for losing animals. And so I didn't want anything to do with it. And one thing led to another, and I ended up with 7 babies. And so now we call them baby mamas at the wildlife rehab. That's my official title.
Aww.
So I am a basic volunteer plus baby mama plus board secretary now. So
oh my goodness.
I wear a lot of hats there. And I
Yeah.
also help manage the social media sometimes.
Okay.
So.
Are you the one that like retweets like possum or posts the pictures of the possums
On Twitter and Instagram, which I'm trying to do better about that because my life has just been bananas lately, but I'm starting to get better about it. And it's kind of hard because in winter, I'm only there in the daytime and possums are nocturnal. So everyone is asleep whenever I'm there. So it's hard for me to get anything to post on social media right now. But once spring hits and there's babies, it's going to be possum galore everywhere.
Gosh.
So.
Oh my gosh. And you know, I remember I followed your journey, and I'm sure everyone else did, but your journey very closely when you had the babies. And I know that you were constantly having to get up, you were losing sleep, you know, and just thank you for doing that because it takes it's a lot. I mean, okay, so first of all, you have your own animals that you have to take care of at home, and that is a job within itself. And then put babies who just absolutely need 24/7 care. You know, it's a wild animal. Like, they're a lot different than cats and dogs, obviously,
absolutely.
you know? So I commend you for that because I can only imagine how difficult that is. You know, I have 2 cats and a dog, and I'm already like up to here, you know, with like all the things that I have to do. So what made you choose to work there? Like, what was like, I want to go here? Were they just accepting applications, or you just really felt called there?
I've always loved possums, and I always felt like they got a bad rap. Everyone thinks they're dirty and gross, and I actually didn't know how incredible they were. I mean, I always loved them, but I never knew an extent of how awesome they are until I started working there. But basically, I just saw a post. So I met a girl through a vegan potluck that we have in town, and of course she's super into animal care as well. And I saw her share a post where the wildlife rehab was asking for volunteers for winter, because it's easy to have volunteers when there's babies in the spring and summer, but once babies are gone, people get bored. And you know, so they needed winter volunteers. And I saw the flyer and I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know we had a possum rescue in town. So I emailed, they sent me an application to fill out, and then I came in for training. And I don't know, I guess in my head I expected like this professional facility, when really like we're just doing the best we can. It's great. It's just we're working out of little sheds, and it's dirty work and it's hard. And I feel like a lot of people think it's gonna be like a
vet office or something
like that. It's not a vet's office. It's that's what I meant. I didn't mean professional. Of course we're professional, but like I thought it was
in a facility,
a huge facility. And it's outside, it's dirty, it's hot. Oh my God, don't even get me started on the summer. But
oh my gosh,
it's been so awesome. It really has. So yeah, that's how I got matched up with that. I saw it on Facebook through a friend.
And for those, like, obviously watching you work with possums made me do my research, and because my dad was like, oh my God, there's a disgusting possum, and I was like, wait a second, hold on, you want this possum around, okay? Because guess what, they eat, you know, and I started like naming off like random facts because of you, but they are so incredibly important for the ecosystem. For those who didn't know, they eat ticks, and like for animals, like if you have domesticated animals, dogs and cats, that is so ideal because ticks are disgusting and awful for your animals. So to have that animal around eating the ticks, like that's absolutely perfect. What other facts could you tell us for those who don't know? I'm very curious.
Oh God, I got a lot. So possums have opposable thumbs on all feet, which people don't really know, which makes them excellent climbers. They have the most teeth out of any mammal in North America, and I have a bite on my finger currently to prove that.
Oh my goodness.
And what else? So they can't carry rabies. I shouldn't
say
it's impossible, but I want to say there's only about 10 to 11 documented cases in all of history.
Because they're so warm, right?
Rabies. They're so cold. So their body temperatures are so low. I mean, they're not cold-blooded, obviously, but their body temperatures are too cold to carry the rabies virus. So
that's right.
I feel like there's a huge misconception thinking that possums are these rabid, scary animals when it's not. It's extremely, extremely rare, almost impossible for them to carry rabies. So possums are marsupials, so they're kind of related to the kangaroo family in that aspect. So they carry their babies in pouches. Mama possums have 13 nipples, so they have 13 babies in their pouch usually.
Oh wow.
So because they're marsupials, they give birth to more than 13 babies usually, and they're basically embryos at this point. When they're tiny little, like microscopic jelly beans almost. Not microscopic, but little tiny things. They're basically, like I said, embryos. Only their front legs are formed, and they just have little hooks. And so when the mom gives birth, they crawl up her fur, kind of like kangaroo joeys. They'll crawl up the fur using the little hooks, and it's basically a race to the pouch because, like I said, she gives birth to more than 13. So the first 13 that make it to the pouch and the nipples latch on, and they're the only ones that survive, unfortunately. But yeah, it's super interesting.
That is very interesting.
And they're not fully formed, obviously, whenever they are crawling to the pouch. So the rest of the pregnancy is in the pouch. So possum nipples are not like cat or dogs. They're basically, when the babies swallow them, they are essentially like, I don't know how to explain it, almost like spaghetti noodles.
I was just about to say noodles.
Down their esophagus, and it's basically like a constant slow drip of milk into their system, which is why they have to be fed around the clock. Because whenever they're in mama's pouch, they're always getting milk at all times of the day, like little drips in their stomach. So it's really weird. Whenever you find a possum hit on the side of the road and you have to check for babies, you're always going to have to like break the section of the baby who's, you know, swallowed the mama's nipple. It's really weird when you think about it. But yeah, so there's that about the mamas. Possums poop in little water bowls, so they're similar to humans because we use toilets and they kind of do too. So when we have them at the rehab center, they have a water bowl and they have a poop bowl, and it's
That is
strange.
adorable.
They have little toilets. Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah,
That's
they
so
like
cute.
to poop in running water in the wild because it carries it away, so there's no evidence of them living nearby for predators and stuff like that.
Sneaker.
Yeah, they're really smart.
Yeah.
So their tail, everyone gets creeped out by their tails, but they're not weird. I mean, they are scaly, but they're really warm. They're really soft, but they do have bones in their tails. So when they get, ran over, it breaks bones in their tail and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it makes them excellent climbers, and they actually do use their tails to balance. They don't ever hang from their tails.
Okay.
I mean, maybe a baby once in a while, but they don't sleep like that or anything.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a common misconception, and they don't actually hang from their tails because it could injure them. But yeah, their tails are really cool. I mean, whenever they sit on your shoulders, they're always like, holding onto your clothes with their tail and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
What other possum facts? I've got so many, but I guess I have like a huge log. I kind of forget some sometimes.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Let's see. That's kind of the gist.
Yeah.
And possums communicate with clicks. So whenever a boy possum senses a girl possum around, he'll start going, and it's hilarious.
That's so cute.
Yeah. So we recently got in a little boy possum named Batwa. He's a dwarf possum, so he's naturally smaller, and he loves being around girls. Anytime he's around girl possums, it's just like all the time. It's really funny.
It's like what we do when we're
yeah,
and like give a little wink. They just can't wink, obviously, but there. Some possum facts for everyone. Super interesting. I think they're freaking adorable. I don't think I've ever felt that they were ugly. And just a quick thing, don't keep possums. You have said this before.
Oh yeah.
On your Twitter. Don't keep them. Take them to a facility or somewhere that takes them in and takes care of them. It's super important. Growing up, I've always wanted a raccoon, but I can't have one, and I won't have one because it's not safe. It's not legal. But yeah, if you see a possum, it needs help, take it to a facility. Absolutely. Yeah. I just wanted to say that really quickly, just in case anyone was starting to get ideas. So why do you think that volunteering is so important, especially at a facility like this? Like, what if you could have like one thing about just like, this is why volunteering is important, what would it be?
I mean, I guess aside from the fact that, these facilities can't run without volunteers.
Yeah.
It's necessary. Everyone that helps with OP Acres, no one's paid.
Okay.
So everyone that helps run it is completely volunteer based. So aside from the fact that these facilities can't function without volunteer services, I don't know. It's just been so rewarding. I've learned so many skills.
Yeah.
Like, I never thought that I would, I don't know. There's just so many things that you can learn as far as veterinary, like minor veterinary stuff and like rescue. And not just with animal rescue in general, but no matter where you volunteer, you're going to develop important skills.
Yes.
You can put stuff like that on your resume.
Yes.
You make so many connections. It's fun. You feel a sense of pride because you're doing good things for your community. And I don't know, I just feel like it's something that can really enrich your life.
Absolutely.
It's definitely a commitment. You have to make time. Like, no one really has time to volunteer, but you have to make time.
You have to make it.
It's been so rewarding. I've loved it so much. It's been hard. And I've cried and lost so much sleep, but it's been such an awesome year. It's definitely improved my life.
I tell my community this all the time. There's nothing better than doing something for someone or something that can't do anything for you in return. Mm-hmm. There is so much, and like you just said it, there's so much reward in that, and there's so much, I don't want to say validation, but it's almost immediate how you feel. You just feel better, And, here you have these animals who can't really honestly do anything for you in return, and you're just absolutely taking care of them. And then you make a good point, too, with the facility. Facilities like this, they need volunteers. They need people to help, or they will get shut down, and these possums will have nowhere to go, So like I say, I tell my community this all the time. Volunteering is so important. Taking time, because also time is something that you cannot get back. When you give your time, you don't get that time back. So when you give someone or something your time, you are giving them something so incredibly valuable. And
yeah,
so
100%.
yeah, when you give your time that you will never be able to get back to something, and something that can't really give you anything in return, it's huge. And so yeah, I really love that. What are some skills that you feel like you've learned?
I mean, God.
I know that's a tough one. I know.
No, you're fine. I guess I've learned like basic medical care and intake. Like,
Okay,
we
yeah.
just redid brushing up on like retraining for medical intake, like in case the owner isn't there. So the owner is a licensed vet tech, so he does all of the like hardcore medication and stuff like that. And we do have a vet on staff to do like amputations and stuff like that.
Okay.
But in case our owner isn't there, whenever we have a serious intake, like for example, I learned how to, we had a head injury from a car come in, and I was the only one there. Someone dropped it off, and basically learning how to like do intake and properly house them so they can get medical care and stuff like that. I mean, of course, learning about the animal and just general education about them. I mean, I know how to keep babies alive now, and so that's really exciting. And just basic animal care. And diet's huge. People don't realize how complicated of a diet possums have. If you have to keep them in captivity for a certain amount of time in the wild, they're constantly moving and scavenging, so they eat a variety of things to keep them healthy. But whenever you have them in your care, it's so important to try and replicate that. And that's one of the huge reasons why you should not ever keep a possum as a pet. And I know people are gonna say, oh, my grandpa raised one whenever I was a kid, but like, as someone who works with these animals and sees it all the time, I mean, people will try and keep these animals as pets, which is one, illegal in a lot of states, and two, I mean, they'll try and keep them as pets, and they'll bring them to us whenever they've done irreversible damage. One of the major things we see in these pet possums is metabolic bone disease, which comes from an improper diet. And people will always say like, oh, well, I Googled it, but there's a lot of incorrect information online that can severely injure and damage these animals. And metabolic bone disease doesn't just affect their bones, it affects their organs and their growth. And we have had so many possums we've taken in. I want to say, since I've been there, about 5 that have come to us in one way or another, where they don't get the proper nutrients and their bones grow twisted, so they can't properly walk, and they waddle, and their organs are damaged. It's not reversible. Most of the time we can treat the symptoms, but it's still very painful, and they're not going to be able to be released. So yeah, bottom line is, please don't keep possums as pets. I know they're wonderful and they can be super cute and stuff, but yeah, they're wild animals, and unless you've been trained in care, it's not a good idea. But yeah, so that's one of the other things I learned was diet and stuff like
that's
that.
wonderful. That's awesome, because you and I know, and I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I'm going to speak for myself. I have learned so much about these animals from you. And so because like, I don't know, like on the flyer, I had to put possums. Like, I just had to, like I don't want to say it's like your identity or anything like that, but you have definitely given a voice to these animals. And I think that that's really important too. That's a skill that all of the skills that you're learning and all of the things that you are doing, you are giving a voice to these animals. And everyone in chat, like, I mean, including myself, we're knowledgeable now. Like, we know more about these animals, and that's important. If anything, that's like the biggest thing. So just thank you for all that you do, obviously.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm like slightly choking on my coffee, so if I start coughing. So a big question, and I think it might be like a 2-parter, but what keeps you motivated to keep volunteering despite like some of the challenges that you've talked about, like losing sleep and just kind of being stressed out and having to deal with your own thing? Because I'm sure while you're doing this, you have IRL stuff that you need to be doing, like showering, pooping, peeing, eating, So how do you, like, what keeps you motivated to keep doing it despite those challenges?
I mean, I made it a commitment, and I know it can be inconvenient sometimes, like whenever I have a late night stream and then I have to wake up early the next day and go do my wildlife rehab shift. But I mean, I made a commitment not just to the, team at Opie Acres, the wildlife rehab, but also to the animals. And I don't know. I know that if I'm not there, animals are gonna miss out. Like the only reason why I ended up taking babies last year was because we had 7 and they had nowhere to go. It was like either I take them, we were at capacity. All the foster moms and people that could care for babies were at their limit. And when I say at their limit, I'm telling you, like tearing their hair out, crying, not being able to work or function because they're taking care of them. So, I mean, it was either care for babies or let them get euthanized because they had nowhere to go and they were just going to die. So, I mean, that's the main reason. I mean, I made a commitment to help, and so I can't just quit even though it gets tough. Yeah, that's the main reason.
Yeah.
I made a promise. I said I would help, and as long as I'm here in this area, I absolutely will.
Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, you make a really good point, and I want to talk about this too. This includes domesticated animals, aka cats, dogs, birds, lizards, fish. When you get an animal, you are committing your time, your money, and your life to take care of these animals. This isn't just like, oh, hey, let me just get a cat or a dog or an animal and just whatever, it'll just be here. You have to put money to feeding it. You have to put money to taking it to the vet. Like this is a commitment. And I mean, just like what you said, like you made a promise, that you don't want to let the team down or the animals down. It's the same thing with the, cats and dogs and stuff like that. So that's a really good point that you make. So this is kind of like motivational. So I think I want to spin the question and be like, okay, well, what keeps you motivated in general, like in life? I'm very curious.
Oh God, I don't know. I mean, in general, I just have fun with what I do, so I don't really need motivation, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like,
interesting.
I mean, I need motivation, obviously. So streaming is my job and content creation is my job, but I mean, I enjoy it. So there's never, of course, there's days where I'm like, kind of don't want to get ready, and I kind of just want to sit on my couch all day.
Yeah.
And if there's ever a day where I'm feeling really down and tired, I'll do that. Like yesterday, I didn't stream. I still did content creation work for other platforms, but I didn't stream. And it's hard because I feel really bad, but like in general, aside from those days that everyone needs to take off, I don't know. My community, I made a commitment to my community too, I guess. I guess that's my main thing. Whenever I tell people, like, I make a commitment, I try and stick to it. Of course, I'm super forgetful and I'm scatterbrained and there's lots of things that I forget to do. But in general, I guess, and plus I have fun. I guess my main thing about life is I just want to enjoy it and have a good time. And so I do things that help me have fun and are rewarding. And I don't know. I guess that.
Yeah.
I just like it.
No, that, you know what, honestly, like, I kind of needed to hear that because sometimes I have bad days too, obviously. I have a chronic illness, so sometimes just like waking up is difficult as it is. But I think it's important for us to remember that we are doing this because we enjoy it, and sometimes that is all the motivation that you need. And so you make a good point, and I don't know, I just feel like I really needed to hear that. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so this is kind of like the last question, and it kind of like goes in perfect. She's walking right into the last question. So let's say there was someone in chat that was having a hard time. Like, what would your message be to, like, if they were just having a hard time? You could switch it up. If they were having a hard time, like, volunteering or just being motivated in general, like, what would be your message to them?
I guess I'll split that up into 2 different answers. So I guess if you're having a hard time volunteering, as far as like finding places to volunteer or finding the motivation to volunteer?
Finding the motivation to volunteer, because I feel like some people need that little push, like, this is a good idea, okay. You should do this.
Gotcha. You can always just try it, and if you don't like it, you can just stop. But honestly, if you love animals, and I'm someone who is extremely passionate about that. So if you're like me, I'm a huge, massive animal lover. And when I mean an animal lover, I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
But if you're like me, I'm sure you're already itching to work with animals. I mean, you can always, like, my biggest advice for getting into wildlife rehab in general, I mean, you can also do volunteer work at your local, you know, shelter and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
specifically for wildlife rehab, I would just sit down and just look up a list of wildlife rehabbers in your area. And even just seeing the types of animals that
Yeah.
are being rescued and rehabbed in your area can make you excited.
Yeah.
Look up their like facilities Facebook pages, see pictures of the animals, and then find the place that you want to help at. That's what I suggest, especially now that it's about to be springtime. This is the prime time to get in and start volunteering, because you have just enough time to get trained before baby season hits.
Yeah.
And baby season is a tornado.
Yeah.
So it's fun, and there's so many cute things. And just but yeah, I would just call her. Like, there's always going to be phone numbers for the wildlife rehabbers in your state. You can always email or text or call and ask, "Hi, are you accepting any volunteers for spring? If you need any help." And some people like doing things on their own, but most people need help.
Yeah.
So that's a good way. And I don't know, it's so fun. It really is. It's hard work. Please don't go into wildlife rehab thinking that you're going to be petting animals and playing all day.
Yeah.
You can't, unless it's a permanent education animal that lives at the facility. You're probably not even going to be able to touch it unless you're trying to catch it or administer medication, which you probably won't be doing in the beginning anyways. So it's not so much sitting around playing with animals. It's serious animal care, groundskeeping, cleaning cages. It's gross. There's poop everywhere.
Yeah, you're gonna get shit on and peed on.
Yeah. You know, you're gonna lose animals. There's injuries. I mean, animals don't come to us when they're healthy. They come when they're hurt and sick and orphans. So there's a lot of sadness, but there's so much good. I mean, I can't tell you, like, seeing the video, because I didn't have a chance to go, but seeing the video of one of my 7 babies getting released and taking a swim for the first time, it was just the most magical moment, and I'll never forget it. And I'm tearing up right now.
I'm
It was
tearing
just so
up
wonderful.
too,
But like, I don't know. I feel like it was torture. It really was. Like, I lost 3 of them. 3 didn't make it, so only 4 did. And I had so many health issues. It was like one second they would have constipation, the next second they'd have diarrhea, and then I would lose one, and it was just a nightmare. And you have to get up every 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I mean, seriously, it's like becoming a newborn's mother times 7 overnight. And everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, you don't know what it's like caring for a newborn. How would you know?" But I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. Does your newborn take an hour and a half to feed? Does your newborn like? It was just insane. And I know it's not the same as human motherhood, but it was a lot. It took me an hour and a half every time in the beginning to get those babies tubed and fed. Like, I had to shove a feeding tube down 7 babies' throats every 2 hours, making sure the formula was correctly formulated, getting them to poop and pee every single time. And then it's 2 hours between the beginning of feeding. So I would take an hour and a half of time to feed them completely. I'd have 30 minutes to like try and catch a nap, and then I'd wake up and do it all over again.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I didn't know that.
Like, going through all of that and the crying, I can't even tell you. I would be in the middle of my kitchen floor at 4 a.m. just trying to get a baby to take a tube. Like, sometimes they're difficult and they won't. Just crying like, "Oh my God, please." And for that to end up like seeing one of them getting released and going for a swim the first time, knowing that if I wouldn't have put myself through all that nightmare, that wouldn't have happened, was just so magical. And I feel like a lot of people can benefit from that and would feel the same way. So yeah, if you're ever wanting to get into wildlife rehab, I'd really, really recommend it.
My heart. Yes. Yes. No, that is so beautiful. That is so beautiful, because seriously, like, when you put your sweat and your tears and your blood into something, and to watch it just go into fruition like that, like, holy shit. That's awesome. And I'm really happy for you. And so, okay, let's do it with motivation now. Like, let's say someone was just like, in general, like, just having trouble staying motivated. What would your message be to them?
I mean, I guess there's different things that affect our motivation. There's like fear of failure, fear of not being great at something when you first start, which is something I struggle with. When I want to try new things, I want to be great instantly, and that's not how it goes. Like, you're always going to be not so great in the beginning. Everyone that I mean, all the greats. Even artists, musicians, everything were not great when they started.
Yeah.
Everyone has had failures and have messed up and have made embarrassing pieces of work that they don't like looking back on. But in order to become good at something, you have to be willing to be bad at first. So that's something that kind of motivates me. Like, I've tried new things, especially the past year, that I was really scared to do because I didn't want to be bad. And of course, things aren't perfect, but you improve every single time you fail. So that's something big, I guess, for me. That's my personal reason why that holds me back from trying new things and getting motivated. But also, I mean, in general, I mean, there's days where I just want to like lay around the house and waste time on my phone or, playing games or whatever. But like, a quote that really stuck with me was, how we spend our days is how we spend our life.
Okay.
So if you just sit around wasting time and, you keep saying, oh, I'm going to start that tomorrow, or, oh, I'll do that next week, or, oh, I'll try that eventually. I mean, your life's going to get away from you and you're going to have a lot of regrets, I guess, about not trying new things. So that's something I always try and tell myself. Like, whenever I have a day where I'm just like, oh, God, I don't want to do anything today, I'm like, just do it. Like, you're going to feel so much better if you just do.
Yeah. No, I love that. I mean, there are days where I want to do the same, and I feel like you and I are a lot alike in the scared of failure. I feel like I don't do a lot of things or say a lot of things or whatever, you get it, because I'm scared that I'm gonna fail or I'm gonna get a no. Like I really honestly, sometimes we hold ourselves back. It's not even other people or other things, it's ourselves. And so I think you and I are a lot alike in that respect. And so to end this out, that was like literally the quickest. That was awesome. She knew her shit. She was like, listen, here we go. I'm about to lay it out. Okay, real quick before we end things out. So let's say I or someone in chat sees a possum on the side of the road. Like, what are there any steps that like we would need to take, or like what would you recommend that we do in a situation like that? Because I mean, I know I've seen possums on the side of the road and not really known what to do. So if you could, I'm curious about this.
So I guess it's always good to plan ahead. Like, you can always do like a wildlife, hit kit, I guess. When you see an animal hit on the road,
oh wow,
you can have like a little basket in your trunk with a towel and gloves.
Okay,
is something easy. But
I'm writing
specifically for possums, if you see a possum hit on the road, especially in the spring and summer, there's a good chance there's babies in the pouch.
Okay. Spring and summer, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So probably even starting now, in some places we've already had our first joeys of the season.
Okay.
The pouch is obviously on their stomach for the girls, and I will wear gloves. If they're still alive, obviously take mama to the vet. Be very careful. Like I said, possums have very sharp teeth.
Yeah.
And will tear you up, like down to the bone.
Okay.
Possums are not aggressive. They're not going to chase you down, but they're scared. They're hurt. So when you try and pick them up, make sure you have very thick gloves on.
Like gardening gloves.
Yeah, gardening gloves, and a towel usually helps, but most of the time they're going to have broken jaws and stuff like that. So if you are wanting to do this, towel, very thick gloves, put them in a basket, put the lid on top, and then just contact your local wildlife rehabilitation center. And like I said, you can find numbers for them online. You're probably going to have to drive them. A lot of places just don't have the volunteer power to take long drives. Sometimes you'll get lucky, but most of the time you'll have to drive them. For babies, if you see a dead mama on the side of the road, check the pouch for babies and check 3 times, because the babies will hide. And very gently but firmly pull baby. Don't squeeze, because they're very small and tiny and helpless, but you have to pull baby off the mama's nipple. And like I said, it's usually a lot of suction, because baby possums will swallow the mom's nipple, like I said, and it's like long because it goes into their stomach to constantly drip milk. So you're gonna have to pull baby off. Do not feed them anything. Just make sure you keep them warm. Do not put them directly on a heating pad. Basically just towel, low noise, and get them to a rehab facility as soon as possible. And like I
Okay.
said, don't try to feed them water or milk or anything, because they're very easy to aspirate and you
Yeah.
can drown them so easily. So just be
Yeah.
really careful and get them to a wildlife rehab center as soon as possible.
Wow, way to like add that stress too. I didn't even know that you could drown them. So not
Oh,
only are you like
yeah.
trying to shove a tube down their throat, put the right amount of milk to get them fed, but you could also drown them. Wow, no pressure, no
Yeah,
big
I mean,
deal.
that's the horrifying part.
Yeah.
So you're having to shove a tube down a baby's throat. They're tiny. And
Yeah.
in the beginning, the sides of their mouths are sealed.
Okay.
The front of their mouth, their lips are open like this. So you have to shove a tube down their throat, very tiny tube. And you have to be very careful because you can either get it in their lungs or in their stomach. And you better hope to God it's their lung or their stomach, sorry, and pray it's not their lungs. And you can also accidentally poke a hole in the bottom of their stomach and kill them that way. You can poke a hole in their esophagus.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, or they can spit the tube out and you can drown, like, turn it around in
Yeah.
their with their tongue and you can drown them that way. Yeah, it's very easy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and if their milk is too hot, it will kill them. If their milk is too cold, it will kill them. I mean, it's a nightmare and it's
Yeah.
really scary. That's why it's a lot of stress. It's just constant. Every time you go to check them, you're like, please tell me everyone's still alive.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're like, holy shit, just eat and don't die.
Yeah.
Please, dear God. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let me just say this is kind of a joke, but I'm like kind of being serious. This spring and this summer, don't fucking push Witchy, okay? She's got to be
Yeah.
taken care. She's got to be taking care of the babies, okay? Just this
Yeah.
honestly, I feel like this is important to know because now I know what you go through. You know?
It's
And now-
crazy.
and now others do too. I think it's important. I really do. I really do. Not only because, hey, we want to motivate you to volunteer and work with animals, but like, this is some important shit that you're going to be doing. You know, this isn't just like, oh, I'm going to take care of some
Yeah.
animals, you know, like GG, like seriously. But, you know, this is what it takes. And this is what you have to put forth when you want to make a difference in this world and give back and, you know, give your time. It's super important. And that's why I wanted to talk to you about it because we don't know what you go through. You know, we don't know the sacrifices that you've made. And so I don't know, but can everyone in chat just say thank you
Oh,
to her,
thanks,
please?
guys.
Say thank you. No, seriously, thank you so much. And just to end this out, I would love for you to drop your links again, talk about your Twitch channel, what you do, just in case for those who are coming in a little bit late, so they can know what you do and go follow you and hang out with you all the time.
Yeah. So Twitch is just WitchyTwitchy, and then Twitter is WitchyTwitchy TV, because WitchyTwitchy was taken, and then Instagram is WitchyTwitchy.
Okay, go
So.
follow her, go hang out with her, go spend time with her, go love on her, especially in the spring and the summer. No, I'm kidding. Love on her always, okay? I was totally kidding, but also being kind of serious. And thank you so much for doing this interview.
Yeah, no
I
problem.
really do
had a fun
appreciate
time.
it. Yay, good. That makes me really happy.